We got Matt, we got Brock, we got another Jock Talk fantasy edition / sports betting, however you want to look at it. First of all, if you haven't already, go check out our Packers review and preview. We got the Eagles coming up this week, as well as our top 5 specifically over on Facebook. We got some nice tasty pizza toppings for you guys today. All right, Frankie.
All right, Frankie.
All right, Frankie,
love
but
me
not
some
Frankie.
El Presidente.
That's right. So we got something special for you guys. We teased it 2 weeks ago. We had some technical difficulties last week, so we couldn't get it up. But we have the Fantasy 6-pack times 2. That's a Fantasy 12-pack. We have 6 guys who are going to be our fantasy studs, 6 guys who are going to be our fantasy fades for the week. And then, as always, we have our 2 locks and our upset for the week. Last week, even though we didn't get the video up, went pretty well for us. Your guy, if you would have watched, told you
if
to
we could have got it up.
We're getting old. It happens in our old age sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, we would have told you to fade Brian Hill and Josh Jacobs, while also telling you that Nick Chubb and Kyle Rudolph were going to be stars. Kyle Rudolph, not a star, but the cheap price
Value.
DFS option. Exactly. Value
Don't
price.
Forget about Mr. Jarvis Landry.
That's right. So let's get right into it, Brock. We'll start with our fantasy stars. I'm going to kick it off with one of the most disappointing teams of last week and a player who's been disappointing almost all season, but I think this is his time to break out. We're going with Mr. Henry Ruggs from the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he has a big game.
Yep.
The matchup is there. Yep.
Matchup is great for him. My number 1, I'm going Allen Robinson versus Detroit. He's been the only consistent offensive piece for the Bears. Trubisky loves him. And rightfully so. And that pass defense for the Lions have been pretty bad. And under who's the interim coach? I don't even know.
I don't think it's the Jim Bob Cooter anymore. I don't know. Maybe Daryl Bevell is their offensive coordinator, I think. So
I think they're in tank mode the rest of the season because they're kind of in that in between right now, and I think Allen Robinson takes over that game.
Yeah. So my number 2, I'm coming back right to that game, opposite side. And by the way, yes, Daryl Bevell is going to be their interim coach. He's their offensive coordinator. One of the big issues with this player is that he gets a good start and then they just don't play him anymore. They don't toss him the ball anymore. T.J. Hockenson, showing tight end some love. I believe that makes it 3 weeks in a row right now. I think he has a big game. Kenny Galladay is questionable, I think, at best. So T.J. Hockenson, big game versus the Bears. We see what Big Bob did last week against them.
I got my number 2, Nyheim Hines versus Houston. Houston has been bad against the run all season. They've also have been targeting Hines out of the backfield a lot. JT, I think, is questionable. I think he cleared the protocol, but you never know with everything going on if he will actually play. So if he does not play, I expect even more touches out of Hines.
Nyheim Hines, DraftKings special. Speaking of DraftKings special, this guy had 16 targets last week and 14 carries. I do not expect 16 targets. Just let me get that out of the way now. But first game back, he looked good. I think he looks good this week again. Austin Eckler against the Patriots. We talked about this pre-show. Bill Belichick loves to take away the opposing team's best option, regardless of position. Their best option, we can both agree, is Keenan Allen. Mm-hmm. So I think Austin Eckler has a big game against the Patriots. So he is my 3rd.
My number 3 star, I'm going a little bit out on a limb just because of who they're facing. They had a god-awful game last week. I'm going Jamison Crowder versus the Raiders. He's been a pretty consistent target for whoever's at quarterback. He might not have had the numbers last week or the last couple of weeks in general, but he has been their obvious number 1 wide receiver all season. And the Raiders' pass defense, it's so spotty. You never know what you're going to get out of them. But I think for the at his price range, I mean, you could get a good boom out of him.
Yeah. So we're gonna move it on to the other side. Me and Brock are just so intoxicating. The 1 6-pack might have done it for you guys, but we're gonna move on to our second 6-pack. We're gonna keep the night rolling. These are the guys who you should be fading. Some of these guys are obvious. If you have them, you're gonna start them in season-long fantasy. But guys who you go for a different option in daily fantasy, whether you play on DraftKings, FanDuel, or one of the other ones. So my first guy is Kyler Murray. So much of his production comes from his legs. I think he's still going to try to not run as much because of his dinged wing. Get it? Because he's a Cardinal and they have wings, whatever.
Dad joke. Dad joke
That's
alert.
right. That's right. Where's our bell? But Kyler Murray, I think, and the Rams defense is good. They kind of struggled a little bit last week against the 49ers, they lost the game at least. But Aaron Donald,
He's a man.
Don't really need to say much there. Jalen Ramsey, still one of the top 5 cornerbacks in the entire league.
I know he is questionable, but
yeah.
We'll see.
So, Kyler Murray, fade number 1.
My fade number 1, Travis Fulgham versus the Packers. I just think whoever's on him, I think Jair. I assume Jair is going to be on him most of the game, if not all the game. I don't like the matchup for him. Carson Wentz is terrible. So just stay away from him.
You don't want that revenge game narrative? He was on the Packers for like a week this offseason.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
All right. My number 2, I'm going with a star-studded fade. My number 2 is Dalvin Cook. I don't like the Vikings, but I'm not a Vikings hater. I really like Dalvin Cook. I really like Justin Jefferson. Typical. This is our weekly
Justin Jefferson moment.
Yeah. All right, but no. The Vikings, I think, are gonna have their way with the the Jaguars, another J team that just absolutely sucks. But Dalvin Cook's dealing with a little bit of an injury with his ankle. I know he went out of the game last week for a little bit, and I think it's 2 weeks in a row that he avoided an injury that could have cost him a couple of weeks. But I think the Vikings go up early, maybe a Thielen touchdown in his return, and I think they try to rely a little bit more on Alexander Mattison this week is the main thing. So it's more of a game script and trying to keep their star player healthy more than I just don't like that guy this week.
I could see that. I could definitely see that, trying to save him a little bit. They assume they're going to win this game. I mean, they should win this game because it's the Jaguars. They've lost 10 straight. So
potential late playoff push.
Yeah, just maybe he plays, like, if they go up more than 2 scores, I don't see him playing much after that. Yep. So I like that. I am also going with a running back who I assume will be up a lot, and maybe they'll just a little banged up, kind of keep him out. I'm going Chris Carson versus the Giants. Giants also have a pretty good run defense and defense in general. I think this is going to be a little bit closer game than a lot of people are imagining, even with Colt McCoy in at quarterback, because of that Giants defense can pressure the quarterback, can stop the run. It's just, can they stop DK and Tyler Lockett and all the weapons they have? So I'm fading Chris Carson this week. So I think they'll have a trio of running backs cycling through there, and it could just not be a very good game for him.
You brought up my third fade. I told you it was star-studded. This is one of the fastest rising stars in all of the NFL. Another guy who we lobbied for the Packers to draft. Mm-hmm. DK Metcalf is my third fade of the week. James Bradberry has been really good for the Giants. I think this is a lower scoring game. The Giants defense, like you said, is really good. The Seahawks defense showed up last week, so who knows? I think it could be a ball control game. But DK Metcalf, again, if you have him in season-long fantasy, you're starting him, but I'm not paying up for him personally in DFS this week.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being more of a Tyler Lockett game, just because of the fact that he's a slot guy, get him running around. Like you said, James Bradberry. If James Bradberry can hold DK to let's say under 50 yards, I think that catapults him easy into the
All
Pro
Pro.
Bowl and All Pro. Yes, I think he's having a great season. So I do
Don't
like
forget
that.
they also have arguably the NFL's best sideline to sideline linebacker.
Mr. Blake Martinez.
Yeah, yeah. Sideline to sideline linebacker. Every time you hear the Giants play, sideline to sideline linebacker.
But that like I said, that Giants defense it's good. It is good. Don't get me wrong. But my third fade, we're gonna bring it back. We've heard this name before. Matt picked him as a star this week. I'm picking him. I'm fading him this week. Austin Eckler. He did, like you said, he had 16 targets out of the backfield. I think Belichick has a recipe for that. He always seems to. If you think you have a wrinkle in the game, Belichick will take it away. And I mean, it is a rookie quarterback, so maybe they throw a little more pressure at him. We'll see. I don't necessarily hate Eckler in DraftKings or FanDuel. He is a little more expensive, so I'm gonna stay away from him. I could see him getting a 10-point, 12-point game, but I'm not gonna pay up for him.
All right, there it is. Your first ever Jock Talk 12 pack. Hopefully, you guys aren't feeling it too much to listen to the rest of the show. We got our locks and upsets for you guys. So
good one.
We're gonna get right into it. My first lock of the week: the Miami Dolphins over the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't care if it's Tua. I don't care if it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't care if it's Josh Rosen. I don't even know if he's still on that team anymore. But Dolphins over the Bengals. 10-plus point win.
Yeah, I mean, that should be an easy bet because who's in that quarterback? I don't think it's Finley. I think it's still Brandon Allen, who looked decent. He didn't look bad, but they made it competitive. So, but my first lock of the week, again, we talked about it a lot in this last segment. I'm going Seahawks over Giants. I think it is going to be a closer game than a lot of people say, but I do have the Seahawks escaping with a win against Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
If they had Daniel Jones, I don't know if I'd take this pick, honestly, because they have been playing better. They've been playing pretty well, but with no Daniel Jones, it kind of sinks the Giants ship a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. My second pick, I'm changing on the fly. Brock, you and I talked about it a little bit pre-show, but I just got this little bit of a gut feeling that I need to change my pick. Going with a fairly obvious one. I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders over the New York Jets. Got to write it down so I don't forget. The Raiders, we talked about it, one of the biggest letdowns of all of last week, if not the entire season. Mm-hmm. Not just because they lost, but how they lost. I think they bounced back big. I think they gave up 40 points this week. Or they gave up 40 points last week. They score 40 points this week. Raiders big.
Over the Jets, yeah. I mean, it's hard not to pick against the Jets just because of the fact that they haven't won a game yet. So, but I'm not going that route. I am going Bills over the 49ers. I like Josh Allen. He's had a great season. He's been spotty at time, late game. It seems like he doesn't know. Feels the pressure a little bit. At least last game he did with a lot of turnovers, but luckily, who'd they play last week? I don't even remember.
The Bills and the Chargers.
I mean, but yep, Chargers turned over the ball right after he turned over the ball. So the Bills got a gift last week. 49ers have been playing better. They beat the Rams last week, so that they might be building a little momentum. But that Bills defense and Josh Allen, I think Stephon Diggs could have a solid game. But I have the Bills over the Niners.
Yeah, so my upset, I was going to go with the Giants over the Seahawks, but then I remembered that Daniel Jones is highly questionable. If he plays, that is my pick. Period. If he plays, that's my pick. I can't see him playing. I can't see Colt McCoy doing anything. So my pick is the Detroit Lions with interim head coach Darrell Bevell. Helping the Chicago Bears, the one-time first place in NFC North Chicago Bears, lose their sixth straight.
They were 5-1.
taking another L.
Go Chicago. But my upset pick of the week, it's a steep one, boys. Get ready, buckle up. This team is going to play 3 games in 12 days. They're a little banged up.
Wolfed.
And the opposing team has a very good pass rush.
Wolfed.
I'm going Washington football team over the Pittsburgh Steelers, handing the Pittsburgh Steelers their first loss. If they play anything like they played against the Baltimore Ravens 4th-string players, I don't think they win this game. I don't think it's close. They played terrible. And it was on a Wednesday. Okay, whatever. You should be able to play football on whatever day. You let Trace McSorley for a 70-yard touchdown. Steelers didn't impress me last week, and it kind of raises some concern that offense has been. I mean, they're either boom or bust. It's like either Chase Claypool has 3 touchdowns, Deontay Johnson has 3 touchdowns, Juju has 2 touchdowns, or they get nothing. So that Washington defense has been okay at times. That pass rush has been good. Ben's been careless with the ball, especially last game, just kind of throwing it up in the air, giving ducks.
Terrible. One of the worst passes of the entire year.
Yeah.
Interception.
Yeah, in the end zone. I mean, Bowser ran it out for godforsaken reason.
Yep.
It was like that was the stupidest play of the game. They might have won the game just off that, or if they had better play calling. So, Steelers, I think that they could be in a world of trouble. I mean, also going 3 games in 12 days can take a toll on these bodies. They haven't done that in a while.
Plus, they're one of their bookend edge rushers, Bud Dupree's out for the season, torn ACL. But I think you may have gotten a little bit a little bit high on your own supply or drunk on your own 6-pack kind of thing there. I don't know if I can buy it a little bit, but we'll take it. That's the point of this. It's an upset. You're not going with an easy one.
No. I'm not gonna go easy on this one. I'm not gonna go like that 1-point spread where I want to see this. I want to see Washington win this game.
Pick the Jets. You won't.
I'm not going to pick the Jets. I'll pick Washington because they have won games, and that Steelers team hasn't looked great.
All right.
So
I got you.
We'll see. I mean, it's upset. I mean, it's either I look like an idiot or I'm not even going to look like an idiot. I picked the Redskins. I picked the football team. What do I expect?
If the Steelers win by like 40 points, you'll look like a little bit of an idiot.
Yeah,
but
we'll see. If it's a close game, I feel good about it. If it's a 1-possession game, I'll feel good about it. So I think the spread is like 10 points. So I would be. It might not be a safe bet, but I think it's a good bet to take a spread if it's 10 points.
Yeah, definitely. So with that being said, again, follow us on YouTube, subscribe. Like us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, most of them at Jock Talk Show. And again, tune into Facebook specific for our top 5. And until next time, we'll be with you guys sometime next week for another Jock Talk Show Fantasy Edition.
Yes, sir.